So if you guys don't know, Mikey, uh, he has put together this Excel sheet, um, and it is helping us to calculate um, what the damage is going to be on a weapon, depending on how the weapon is perked. So for some of you new players, this is might be a little bit over your head. For some of you more advanced players, this is key to understanding exactly the best perks for a weapon. Um, so what we've got is we've got an Excel sheet that is taking into account the base damage rate of a weapon, um, the percent of crit chance of a weapon, the crit damage percentage of a weapon, and the fire rate of a weapon. So based on those factors, you're able to mathematically calculate um, basically what you see here, right, is DPS, so damage per second. That doesn't calculate in the crit chance damage per second. Um, so this Excel sheet is going to give us what the damage per second is going to be when you're factoring in crit chance, right? Um, and in very basic terms, crit chance is a percentage of chance that a weapon will crit doing an additional amount of damage. So on this Bobcat, in particular, the crit chance is 38%. So mathematically, 38% of the time, it should crit. And when it does crit, it's going to do 395% additional damage. So it's going to take that 7,000, 363.7, multiplied it by 395%. So it's going to do that additional amount of damage. Now, all of this, Mikey said a second ago, all of this all of this boils down to you got to hit your shot, right? So if you don't hit any of your shots, none of this matters, right? Um, but we think with this we're going to be able to plug in some different weapons and plug in if they were perked differently, how that would affect them, so we can understand ultimately what's the best perks for any particular weapon. So Mikey, you plugged in your Wraith, right?
Yes, I did find one flaw on the spreadsheet that I sent to you.
Uh-huh.
But all you have to do is because I based it in two different calculations instead of doing that one whole um, formula. So just make sure that you expand the calculation in column F as well. Otherwise, the numbers are going to be off.
So I have for column F, the sum is B2 times C2, which would be damage times fire rate.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure that you also expand that to the lower rows.
Oh,
Otherwise,
okay. Okay, yeah, I got
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Alright. So in total, the maximum DPS possible that I can do with my Wraith is 122,745 per minute.
Oh, guess what the Bobcat is, dude? Wait, is that at 106?
That is at 130 actually.
Okay, 130 Shadow?
Shadow Shard, yeah. Actually, Sunbeam.
Or Sunbeam, yeah, sorry. Okay, so the Bobcat is 199,200.
Yes, but we go back to the fact that you need to hit your shots.
Right?
So the reason why I like this gun so much is because you can hit the shot every single time.
Yeah.
And it's just the fire rate is so comfortable for the game style that I'm used. I've used the Bobcat that I got from you, and it just goes everywhere.
So, yes and no. I don't know. It works. It works for me. Mm, Uh, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it feels like it goes everywhere, and it does, and it like runs through that clip so fast. It's just ridiculous. So I haven't plugged in. Um, so I don't have the Wraith perked, right? And I don't have. Let's see. Um, yeah, I don't have the Wraith perked, or at least perked correctly. How do you have? What are your perks? What do you have it as?
So it's a crit build. So I have crit rating, magazine size, I have physical damage for additional 44%, and double crit on it.
Oh, crit damage, crit damage.
Yeah, crit damage, crit damage.
Interesting. Okay. What's your sixth perk?
Getting 5 headshots in a row increases range weapon damage by 30% for 10 seconds.
So that's mine
Which,
as well.
yeah, I can activate that so easily. So you get an additional 30%.
So, man, this is crazy because the crit rating is already 45%.
So if we
Wow.
take that into account, so the maximum DPS that you can do after activating that is 129,400.
That's insane.
And if you use that one soldier, man, this is freaking ridiculous.
It's stupid, yeah. So, and you have it at 130, right? 130 God rolled?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to plug in my Hemlock because this is one of the other weapons that I've really been told is like just absolutely amazing. But I've never calculated this out. So 7,919.5. Fire rate is 9.9, so it's a little bit slower fire rate. Crit damage 420%. Crit chance 43%. Wow. So base DPS 48,400. Max DPS 219,998. So literally almost 220,000.
So check this out. I just plugged in the bundle buzz that I got from you with energy,
Uh-huh.
and it does 20,000 less damage than the Wraith.
What?
It's 109,532. So the Wraith is better than the bundle buzz with the crit build.
Hold on. I'm typing this in as well. Let me make sure that you've got the same.
I have the one with energy.
Okay. So to give you guys an idea what we're doing here, right? So Mikey, he has put together an Excel sheet that that takes into account the crit chance and crit rating of a weapon to ultimately tell us what the maximum possible DPS is of a weapon when you factor in crit chance and crit rating. So like when you look at a weapon, like we say example, the Bobcat here, and you see DPS, that does not factor in crit chance and crit rating. Um, and very simply put, crit chance is a percentage of 100 that a bullet will crit, and crit damage is the additional percentage of damage that a bullet is going to do when it does crit. So, as an example, if a crit chance was 100 and the crit damage was 200, when a bullet crit, or every bullet would crit, right? And it would do an additional 200% damage. Um, Now that's not real world, but that's a basic, number, right? So what we've got is we're plugging in some of our weapons to help determine uh, mathematically which weapon is actually more powerful. And then we're also going to be able to um, uh, move numbers around to decide if we want to re-perk certain weapons. Like some people have perked their Bobcat with fire rate, um, and they claim that, well, it's more powerful, but we haven't plugged those numbers in to determine that. So this is going to kind of give us that information. So we've plugged in the Bobcat, we've plugged in the Hemlock, um, and Mikey plugged in the bundle bus. And the other thing, I guess, to think about, did you have a Sunbeam bundle bus?
Yeah, it's the one that I redeemed.
Okay.
It's Sunbeam with double crit, reload speed, and element. Oh, I guess the elemental. Okay, 20% additional damage. Ooh, I will have to change my rate.
Fire rate is 6. Crit damage is
So
420. And crit chance is 43. Wow. Um, so mathematically, the bundle bus is not as powerful as either the Bobcat or the Hemlock.
but I guess it seems to do more damage because of the crit rating, and I mean, I guess it could work, um, depending on what you were running as support.
Well, I
But
think, see, there's two things that I don't think we're calculating into this, right? Well, we're certainly not calculating in the sixth perk, right? So like
right.
some of them,
Oh, the explosion. Okay. Yeah.
so let's say like the Bobcat, right? Dealing damage dealt with this weapon snares the target for 30% for 6 seconds. And then the Bobcat has a fifth perk that increases damage by 45% to slowed and snared targets. And it empties its clip in 4.5 seconds. So, I mean, less than 6 seconds, right? So basically, after one bullet, it's going to do an additional 45% damage. And that number isn't reflected either within the DPS or within our calculations. And same thing like you were just saying with the 6 perk on this, like landing five hits in a row on a single target causes a small explosion, dealing enemies within a half a tile radius of the target a 70% damage boost, right? And this thing
Mhm.
fires, let's see, a burst. And how many shots does it fire in the burst? I think it's 6. Is it
For which one? The
6?
bundle bus?
Yeah. I I feel like it's 6.
Yeah, it is fire rate 6. Yeah, I mean it is a burst and only has 6, so it should be 6 per burst.
So basically, if you aim it at the thing you're aiming at, you're getting an additional 70% damage.
Yeah, for that explosion.
Hmm.
I guess we can just add additional columns and then just put in like the different perks that are available, and then just kind of do calculations of that, so that way they're just ready.
Yeah. Man, this like unlocks this magic key, right? But getting that
Yeah,
key is not
not easy,
yeah.
but I can make it happen. Alright, so which perk do we want to calculate in first?
Well, since we both have the bundle bus, and we can both look at it, let's do that one because that seems like that would be an easy thing that we could both look at, right?
Alright, so 5 hits, so 70%. Oop.
So you're gonna take that base damage times it by 70% then, right? Or
Yeah,
add 70% to it.
add 70%. Because it should be an additional 70%. Would it be 70% of what? The maximum DPS? Or the damage of the weapon?
I think it's gonna be, from my understanding, is it's gonna be based on the base damage, right? So the 11,000, because the way it reads, landing 5 hits in a row on a single target causes a small explosion, damaging enemies within a half a tile of the target for 70% damage. So I would say it's the
For
additional
the
boost is 70% of 11,000.
let's see here. Of 11,000, which is wait, where did you get 11,000 from?
From the base damage, so it's 11,254.
Oh, those numbers are different for you than me.
Ooh.
So the base damage that I have is 7,350.
On a 130 bundle bus?
Yeah.
So I think now we've got an issue where it depends upon
The
probably the
level of
survivor
ability.
squads, your hero loadout. Like, do I
Well,
have...
we are both running Outlander, so that shouldn't be.
Well, I have a perk on my loadout right now for increasing assault crit damage by 75%.
Oh, hold on. Let me check. Heroes. Hero loadout. Yeah, I don't have any of that. I only have
So I wonder if I
the damage
change
build.
this right now, um, just to anything else. And then if I go back and I look at the schematics, do my numbers show differently? 11,224. Yeah, dude. It immediately changed it. Now my crit damage is only 345%.
Yeah, that's what mine was as well.
But my actual damage is still 11,254.
That could have something to do with the research level.
Yeah, that's true. Like I
Yeah,
have
because
max
I'm
research on offense, right?
yeah,
Offense
on
research is
offense.
currently boosting weapon damage by 600%.
Whoa.
That's max. So, and then in my survivor squads, let's see. I have 5% ranged damage bonus. Um, Yeah, so I only have a 5% range damage bonus. So I have another 5%, so it's 605% additional. Wow, so this is like, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider in this.
Right. So I guess the only way that we can really do the calculations for what the actual base damage of the weapon is by getting it from somewhere else, not for what we have. And then just take into account the additional perks. Because the numbers are way different for me than for you. You're level 131 with everything maxed out. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I think that brings some really good insight into, I mean, what we've really come down to is that if we can, or I should say if you, if can figure out the Excel sheet in such a way, this becomes a customizable tool that anybody can use that's going to be specific to them and specific to their loadout even, right? Um, but it's something that anybody could use to plug in the numbers just like we are. And like the Bobcat in my hand might be my most powerful weapon, but in your hand it might not be, right? Depending on your loadout, depending on your research, depending on your survivor squad, all that, all those things, right?
Right.
Wow, so that's really interesting though. Um, I think we do have some more work to do to fine tune this, but I think it's really opened my eyes to a lot of well, how complex the game could be, right? And how one weapon in one person's hand could operate entirely different in somebody else's. Wow, that's really cool, Mikey. I think this is really cool. This is crazy that it's getting, uh, taking the math to this to be able to figure out some of these things.